phones on silent mode. Just bow our heads. Almighty God, we entrust our loved one into your eternal care. Receive them into the light of your presence. Grant them peace and welcome them into your heavenly home. May the rest of your love forever. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Julie. Good morning, everyone. To those of you joining us here in Durban, also to those of you online here, and in other parts of South Africa, Port Elizabeth, Johannesburg, New Zealand, and especially to my loved ones in Australia. Thank you for being here today. I will be speaking in English, whilst I acknowledge that I'm not as fluent in Afrikaans as I once was, and my father certainly was. Ek kan nog die taal verstaan, maar ek dink ek praat nog nie so baie goed nie. So it's best that I stick to English. Firstly, I apologize for any inaccuracies or omissions in what follows. It has been a very overwhelming 2 weeks, and I certainly didn't expect I'd be standing here anytime soon. We are all separated by distance, but here we are, all together, joined by the relationship that we had with my father. I know that in some way, great or small, he has touched all of our lives, and in return, your presence here indicates to me that you made a difference in his life too. This is a reflection on the life of Alan Hall, my father, known to me as Dad, and to many of you as Uncle Al, Oom Alan, or affectionately as Aligat. Dad's early years. He was born on the 13th of August 1947 at Kirkwood Street in Port Elizabeth. He was the son of Victor and Amy. His father, Stompie, was a skilled and talented woodworker. He had one elder brother, Vernon, and a younger brother, Edwin. They grew up at Ash Avenue, Statler Township, Port Elizabeth. As a child, I have fond memories of visiting his childhood home and playing outside on the rock walls and with the tortoises. The dining room held many fascinations. It was reserved for special occasions only, and the kitchen was the heart of the home. My father's knowledge and talent for making boerekoos came from his mother Amy. My grandpa's garage was also a place of unique smells, wood dust, sawdust, car oil, as the men would often congregate there to potter around, do welding and fix cars. Dad attended Lawson Brown High School, passing English, Afrikaans, social studies, woodwork, general science, and this was a surprise to me, bookkeeping and commercial arithmetic in 1964. Employment in our young years. In 1966, at the age of 18, he got his learner's permit. According to the Springbok hits of 1966, some of you will remember this, some of us won't, the chart toppers were Nancy and Frank Sinatra, Jim Reeves, Dickie Loader, Des Lindbergh, Simon and Garfunkel, and For Jackson Jill. 1970 was a big year. Firstly, with his marriage to my mother, Gillian Rousseau, at the age of 22. It also marked the year I was born, and after completion of his apprenticeship, his permanent employment with South African Railways as a steam fitter, which involved maintenance and repairs to steam locomotives. From 1970 for the next decade, he was a diesel electrical fitter, servicing diesel electrical locomotives. His son Kevin was born in 1973. I remember those early days, where we lived in Sydenham in Rocher Court Flats. We moved to Charlo, where our house was built on Martin Road. Back in those days, there was still bush separating Martin Road from the primary school, with the train line running along the middle, kind of behind our house. And the trains could be heard going past. Trains have always part of Dad's life. Dad also built us a Wendy house in the backyard, which was our playhouse. I still remember that smell of wood, especially when it was hot amongst the guava trees. a very fat python was discovered under that Wendy house, where we would be playing. Dad's favourite interests were the locomotives, his love of fishing, and his passion for the horses. When the news came on TV at 6 o'clock, you knew it was time to be quiet. He was also very adept at building things. Rise, decks, extensions, pools, you name it, and fixing things. I'm sure he was site foreman for many of your projects. And he gave generously of his time and his expertise. But I'll leave that part for all of you to talk more about later. Deep sea fishing at Sardinia Bay was a big event. I remember that beach being mayhem, with cars and boats and boat trailers everywhere. Sunburn, sand, bait and freshly caught fish. And while the men were at sea, the kids would be exploring the rock pools and climbing the dunes. I also learned from Dad how to pump prawns and find pencil bait at Swartkorps, fishing for gurnard. We went to Sundays River and out to Blue Water Bay. Some memorable holidays involved the train rides. The unique smell of a train is indescribable and evokes memories of a trip from PE to Margate in the mid-70s. Again, I must refer to the music and the memories. John Paul Young, I Hate the Music, and Smokey was on the radio. Ach, Please Daddy by Jeremy Taylor. When the train made its many stops, Dad got us some freshly cut sugarcane to gnaw on, and us kids thought that was just great. My parents got divorced in 1979. For the next 5 years, he was a training officer at Spoornet, which involved tutoring with apprentices. He met Linda Batty, and I remember an exciting train trip from PE to Cape Town for the first time. My brother Kevin and I went on a road trip in 1984 with Dad and Linda, all the way to De Aar, where they got married. As Mrs. Blicknight recently reminded me, we attended the railway's Christmas party every year, and my father would take us kids to the shops in North End to pick out our Christmas presents. Then we would wait, somewhat impatiently, for our names to be called at that Christmas party, to go up on stage and collect them from Father Christmas. In the mid-80s, Dad became a logistics officer at Spoornet, and my brother and I went over to New Zealand and then Australia, and he and Linda were divorced in 1988. When I returned to South Africa in 1991, Dad was living and working in Richards Bay. He was a technical supervisor with 20 subordinates and responsible for a R500,000 budget, and undertaking numerous training courses, including interpersoonlike vaardighede and arbeidsverhoudinge. Please somebody tell me what that means. And he had a quality improvement process certificate. I remember his complaining about the transition to computer work. You can all picture his sour look and the eye rolls about having to adapt to modern technology. He hated those computers. He was called out frequently at all hours to attend to locomotive breakdowns, being gone for a long time under very stressful and exhausting conditions. During this time, he was in a relationship with Wendy Fensham. We spent a weekend at Mapelane, where I went deep sea fishing with him and got seasick. We also took a road trip, spending Christmas in Durban, and then we went all the way to PE and back by car. I think I might also have driven the beach buggy, and Wendy and I got into his bad books for losing the keys, the car keys. Again, more eye rolls, huffing and puffing, the look. Dad moved to Durban and bought the house in South Street in 1993. I came up to South Africa and surprised him. He and Wendy came down to PE to visit, and we saw his brothers, Uncle Vernon and Uncle Eddie, and all my PE cousins, some of who have joined us today online. Later I got the Greyhound bus from PE up to Durbs and stayed at South Street for a week or so. Dad continued to work at Spoornet, attaining the Spoornet Diploma of Supervisory Development in 1994, when his first granddaughter Lauren was born. She's online somewhere. And he attained the Overhead Electric Pendant Control Crane Operator Certificate, which I didn't know about. He retired in 1997 at age 50, younger than me now. having worked on the railways for 27 years. In 1997, he also made his very first trip overseas to Australia, when he came to visit us and see his grandchildren. Lauren was 3 and Shannon was 4 months old. It was tremendous fun taking him sightseeing around Brisbane to see the kangaroos firsthand and go on the City Cat water taxi, and of course a few braais, a lot of brandy, a lot of beers. We celebrated Father's Day and birthdays, and he insisted that we have his favourite home-baked, by him of course, chocolate cake with caramel filling, cream and chocolate flake on top. I had just started baking fresh bread in the bread machine back then, and that was an absolute heat. He loved the smell of freshly baked hot bread, and we would fight over who got to eat the crust. 2004 was my girl's first trip to South Africa, aged 10 and 7, and we came to Durban to see Grandpa Alicat. He took us to the beachfront and to various tourist attractions around Durban. In 2010, Dad made his second Aussie trip, and that was such a special one. This time, the time of many more braais. We went whale watching, another surprise for him, as I didn't think I could go along with it if I told him. So he would also collect the girls from school and walk home with them. And he'd observe all the house constructions happening in the neighbourhood. You know? Again, site supervisor, checking out what everyone's doing, making sure. Surprised he didn't just go on the site and start giving them lessons. I know those were such happy times, as he spent them being a grandpa, playing with the kids in the pool and with the dogs. All the usual family life routines. I know that he hated goodbyes, and he was very upset when the time came to leave and go back to Durban. It was the same whenever I left South Africa. That departure at the airport was just gut-wrenching. In 2016, I had a work trip to Perth, so being already halfway here, I came to see him. By then he'd been at South Africa, at South Street for many years, and I got to meet some of you guys that are here today. I spent a very entertaining Saturday watching him and Frank Gallery play horses, and I know he looked forward to those visits. I met Nettie, and he spoke fondly of Sondre. During that time, the Avo tree was producing top butter pears, and that's when the war with the Rasta and the Rady monkeys began. Dad was horribly annoyed that the ripening and not so ripe fruit would get pilfered from his tree. He was happy to give to anyone that wanted, but not if it was being wasted. We talked horses, and I saw him in action, popping into the tote, assessing the race details, working it all out by hand, all the odds, and placing his bets. We enjoyed a home-cooked roast meal with his favourite roast potatoes. No veggies, thank you. No veggies. Vlees, aardappels. I also taught him how to make caramel fudge, and he even managed to make a few batches after I went back to Oz. Over the years, Dad and I enjoyed our little horse racing hobby together. He'd send me cryptic messages. Kenilworth, race 2, number 9. I must figure that out. Greyville, race 6, number 7. He was always getting jinxed by number 9. That horse would catch him up every time, and then he would complain. Yes, by a seer. In 2019, we all came to see him, and I'm sure it was quite an adjustment having a household full of people. The girls were now young adults and keen to re-explore all the favourite spots in Durban. Unfortunately, Dad was having some health issues at the time, and he was reluctant to travel too far. But we did go to the beachfront, Wilson's Wharf, for a nice day trip together, and there were braais and late-night catch-ups. We had been following Winx, the Australian racehorse, with much admiration, so I brought Dad a framed limited edition Winx memorabilia. It was quite a mission getting that item onto the plane, from Brisbane to Joburg to Kruger to Durban, but to see his face when he opened it, well worth the trouble. He was so chuffed, and Winx hung in his lounge all these years. The girls went to the firing range. I watched from a safe distance. Thanks, Lou. Everybody needs good neighbours. I was really glad to see the sense of community and Dad's involvement with his friends and neighbours. It was heartwarming to know that people were caring and kind enough to keep an eye out and help him when needed. We all know that Dad was not the one to ask for anything if he could possibly help it. I know he really, absolutely appreciated every little thing that you guys did for him, because he would phone and tell me. I know there were special goodies at Diwali. Where's Brian? And he was invited to Briar's here with Henny and Hetta, and gatherings for Christmas with Brian. He was an honorary grandpa to Lalis and Anya. You all welcomed and included him. I'd often phone while he was over visiting Uncle Cal. Trevor and his family, Ron, Douglas, Tando, Michael, Roshan, Ken, and Neville were all wonderful friends and neighbours. There were some amazing dogs in his life over the years, and a few cats too. Dad had a special affection for Ken's dog, Chloe, and for Douglas's 2 dogs, as well as the Furies tribe. Jackie would help me plan surprise birthday gifts for him, as I know he wouldn't treat himself. So it was important to get him some special things like whiskey and chocolate. He would get very cross with me because he didn't like a fuss or any extravagance on his behalf. Susan would make him that favourite chocolate cake. His other favourite foods included the Chinese restaurant in PE, making fat cook, curry and rice, curried fish, which was his signature dish, spaghetti bolognese, hot chips with vinegar, a fried egg on fresh bread. Special treats for dark chocolate, but that usually disappeared into the wardrobe with the marshmallow Easter bunnies and the many tins of Old Spice and Brut. In the end, in recent times, Dad's health was really giving him troubles. Years of battling kidney stones, and that one kidney had just packed it in. The prostate was being problematic again, and he complained bitterly about the lack of treatment and the delays and the immense discomfort and pain that he was in. My father was not one to ever complain or talk about himself, so I know this was more than a minor annoyance. He'd accepted the need to downsize and move into a seniors complex. I'd badgered him for years to come out to Australia, and he'd look at me with those eyes and quietly yet firmly say, "I don't want to be a burden." And I'd say, "Dad, your family, you're not a burden, never." But he'd made up his mind. We spoke frequently, but he said, "I don't want to worry you." He knew or felt a lot more than he was letting on to any of us. I'm immensely grateful for Louis and Jackie's emergency care that day. You saved his life. And it gave me the time to get over here. The first thing he said when he saw me, "Why are you here?" The speech was practically impossible, but I got that. And he sobbed. Despite him being gravely ill, enduring unbearable pain, he just wanted to know that all his friends and family were safe and well. Dad hated hospitals. He'd avoid them even when I was a child, and that didn't change. I desperately wanted to get him out of there, and I was waiting for a medical assessment and plan. We'd found a frail care where he could recuperate. In the meantime, I'd be at his bedside and he'd enjoy a strawberry yogurt and a coffee. He'd still want to smoke, but that was strictly forbidden. He still was asking for a smoke. You very rarely ever know when's your last day. Jackie and I were at his bedside, one on each side, holding his hand and willing him to live. Sadly, his body just couldn't fight anymore. He gave it his very best shot. After all these years, My Granny Amy now has all her boys back. Vernon, Edwin, Andrew, and now Alan. I can't begrudge her that, but I do know he's always with me, as he always will be with all of you. Just some special thanks and appreciation. The last 3 weeks have not been the best. That awful roller coaster of angst, fear, hope, relief, love, confusion, shock, and grief has just been relentless. Navigating this has been overwhelming and surreal, but I'm forever thankful to all of you for your help, guidance, generosity, and unconditional support, especially the hugs, and the tears included. My family in Australia and my closest friends there have been my strength from afar, and now my new friends have been my strength here. Just in summary, the things I will always remember about my father. My father was a man of few words. He lived his life quietly, minding his own business. He was a loyal friend and a hard worker. He never complained. He was intensely private. He liked to whistle a tune. He liked rock and roll music. He didn't waste anything. He was fiercely independent. He loved a smoke and a whiskey, sometimes a brandy. That alley cat look is one we all know. He wouldn't need to say anything, but you knew exactly what he was thinking. He enjoyed a good laugh, and to see his face light up and that beautiful smile was just the most rewarding gig. He loved me, and he loved all his girls, Lauren, Shannon, Melissa, and Eloise. He believed in me. Just a final little quote, which is just a personal message to my father wherever he is right now. No one loves me just like you do. No one knows me just like you do. No one can compare to the way my eyes fit in yours. You'll always be my father. Oh, and I'll always be your joy. Okay. My daughter Shannon has just, over in Australia, has made a wonderful little memory collage of my dad. And I just would love to share this with you guys.
Take care that side. Enjoy your day. Love you. Bye.
I just think if we could just take a little moment and also maybe have a little stretch of your legs, grab a drink, blow your nose, and then if anyone would like to, in the next 5-10 minutes, come up and share anything at all that you would like to tell us about my dad, which is so special. I really want to. Thank you.
Old age not for sisters. No, I think it's not for sisters. Old age not for sisters as well. Sit along with your knees ache and your back sore, or I get it all day long. Hey, get some mobile in the.
My name's Jackie. For those of you that don't know me, Alan has been a large part of my life, my dad's life. My dad's one of his best friends. It's been very hard. It still feels surreal, like it hasn't happened. I don't know. I just want to share some memories we have of Uncle Al. I remember him and my dad would always ask each other what they were cooking for supper that night so they could compare notes or get ideas for what they wanted to eat. I remember come Christmas time, I would always offer to go fetch Uncle Al so that he could come have a whiskey with Dad and not have to worry about driving. And on Fridays my dad would keep the insert from the paper about the horse racing so he could take it home and study it over the weekend so he could get his tips. Uncle Al had the biggest heart of anybody I've known. I always moaned at him because come Christmas time or my birthday, he would always get me a gift card just to say thank you for anything and everything I do for him, which I do out of the kindness of my heart just because of who he was. He's going to be dearly missed by all of us, and there's definitely going to be a void. I'm just grateful that we got to know him, spend that time with him. Thank you, Uncle Al.
Hello everyone. Well, Alan, it was a privilege to be your friend. So kind-hearted and full of jokes. Thank you for all the birthdays we could spend with you, kids' prize givings, and just all the visits. I'm going to miss you tons. I know you're still around watching over us. I'm glad I had the opportunity to tell you we love you very much. God had better plans for you, and it's not goodbye, but until we meet again. Lots of love. Susan.
Hello.
you're all waiting for me now. I think everybody's generalized all about Alan. There's not one bad thing I could ever say from Uncle Alan. Always good. I will miss him dearly, like all of us will. Those morning coffees after night shift, popping in quickly, giving me a bit of moral support, working on the cars, always. Those little moments, cherish, I will always cherish. I know my kids was fond of Alan. He was like their grandpa. I know Lali's taken it a bit hard. She's spoken to me. But she'll get through it. I know she will. But to all of you, I would also want to say thank you. Thank you for being here, being part of Alan's life. Like he was to me. He was not just a friend, he was like a dad to me as well. Well, never listen to your views now.
Nettie, actually, Uncle Alan used to call me Nialetta. My name is actually Leonetta, but he used to call me Nialetta, and I always used to help him write, but he always got it wrong. Anyway, I know Uncle Alan since about 2007, 2008. And when Bridget and them were there, I was always invited to his place for a fry in the evening, and that's how I started to meet him. And when Bridget and them left for Australia, I kept on going for a visit, because living in a flat, there is no braai. So I used to ask him, can we braai? I'll bring the meat, you know? And then I used to go there, and then it was often visits. And then it was, he invited us for curries. He loved my daughter. He knew her from baby time when she was still even crawling. And he was like a father to her in a way, or a grandpa to her in a way, because he always had time for her. If I was in a bind, he would go and fetch her for me at school. When I was in a bind for myself, he would take me to the hospital. And he was just the kindest person I've known. And he always used to moan at me because I talk a lot. And I still have that habit. And then he would tell me to shush. You know? And then I said, but I came to talk. Living on your own in a flat and there's no one to talk. You know, you start talking a lot when you see people. So I used to appreciate that from him as well. I didn't just get it from him, I got it from work too. So I love Uncle Alan. Lots of times when I get there, I'll give him a hug. My daughter will give him a hug. And when we leave, we'll tell him, we love you, Uncle Alan, you know. And he has just been there, being kind, and I feel very guilty because for the last 2 months being on pension, I had a lot of things to sort out and I had no time to really run around because of my daughter also having places to go. And the last time I actually did see him was on his birthday. And in fact, on Sunday morning after 9, I went to his house. And I was sitting outside phoning and calling the house number, the cell number. Gave a little hoot, the door was open, the gate was open, and I thought maybe I'll come back later on and see him. And then I got a message from Australia to tell me that he has passed away. I was in so much shock. I couldn't believe it. And I felt very guilty because I haven't seen him since his birthday. So I'm just very sad. Thank you. I loved him. It was a privilege to have known him, an honor. I'm so sorry.
He would have been happy to see you on his birthday. Would have meant a lot to him.
Yeah.
Thanks. Not sure if we can bully anybody else. To come up and say some words, but if you're too shy, that's okay. There's a book there. You can write a message in the book. That's fine. So, if you don't want to come up there, it's alright. I won't be cross. Thank you again, guys. Now we've got some lovely catering here. Some lekker kos. There's cool drink, there's whiskey, and there's all make a toast. So, just informal now. Just let's remember the good times. So, thank you everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. Thanks for every single thing. And also, thanks to my mob at home. I love you. And hopefully I'll see you soon.